maram your own road. Okay? Now, having realized that, you can now see that there is a beeline towards governorship from members of parliament at the National Assembly and Senate and everywhere. Okay?
Yes.
So the most coveted position today on earth amongst these members of parliament, other than the presidency, is governor. Now, there are two versions, in my view, of the model of devolution. Okay? Where you have a very corrupt national government, centrist government which does not look out for the interests of the outlying areas. Okay? Where you have a government which decides to suffocate certain sections of the country of development money and so on, it is good if you devolve governance, even though those governors would be corrupt, because at least you are devolving that corruption even to the counties, as opposed to putting it in one place. But where you have a good national government, okay, you have to have a proper system of governance in the villages which runs the model of devolution. That we are lacking.
All right, James, just hold on. Live pictures there from Kariokor. This, I believe, is the farthest we can go. Thanks to Gabriel and his non-belief in journalists.
No, I believe in you guys. I believe in you guys.
This is where the ceremony will be held, and this has to be the farthest we can go as a journalist. So those are the live pictures of where the private ceremony will be held, the cremation of the body of the late Bob Collymore, who died yesterday, the ex-CEO of Safaricom. The former CEO, Michael Joseph, has since taken over, at least in the interim, as the board appoints a permanent replacement for Bob Collymore, a man remembered for so many things, you know, for transforming the telco industry in Kenya and creating opportunities and jobs for many people through very many innovations in the tech industry. And as he takes his final bow, we say, may you rest in peace, Bob. All right.
Nyabola,
let me tell you. You're not done.
By the way, Osiani and Gabriel should not be in a hurry to run for governor, because you see, they have just mentioned mentioned the referendum. Governors are currently pushing for removal of term limits, so that they can come back yet again.
If Nyagarama wants to run again,
if he wants to run, he can run. Can I tell you something, Nyabola? And let this be understood. Where you have a very corrupt central government in a country like Kenya, a developing world, if this country was not progressive like it is today, as I know it, you have a system in which the national government decides it's not going to take development money, for instance, to Nyamira. Okay? Then, even if those governors were corrupt, we could say, for whatever little they can do there, it is fine. All right? But where you have a progressive nation like the Republic of Kenya, which was almost winning the game last night, you need to have proper systems of accountability. Look at how they employ. Look at how they employ the chief executive committee at the county. Look at how they employ chief officers, the entire bureaucracy of the county governments. Look at how they expend monies given to them. And I will mention something extremely important, because I've even litigated on it in the courts. Section 45 of the Public Finance Management Act allows county governments to spend money from the allocation they have been given, and then to do a supplementary budget later to rectify whatever spending that they have done. Let's say, for instance, they had done a budget in June indicating that they will spend 2 billion shillings in health. That by the time they are getting to around March, if they realize that there is probably 500 million remaining in the health budget, and they have run out on money on the administrative vote head, they can get 300 million from the health docket and spend it in the administration docket, and then do a supplementary budget to rectify that scenario. Now, that has been one of the biggest loopholes in counties wasting public money like never before. Believe me, with respect to the national government can never spend money unless it has been appropriated by the National Assembly, right? But we have a scenario in which county governments can actually hide money in some vote, knowing that towards the end of this term, we will be able to spend this money and then that's how you see votes like peace in the Sudan and so other places and so on.
That was an issue with the system.
So let me tell you something.
That was an issue with different.
Let me tell you.
we still do not have a
Some like
conclusive
Gabe
response to
who
that.
want to run for governor will tell you it was an issue with the system. Okay, that is in many cases a way. That is in many cases a way of hiding money that you later want to withdraw without anyone asking you where that money is gone. Let me tell you.
All right. But James, I think you've made your point. You've made your point.
You see, when I told you the biggest responsibility lies in these two offices. In fact, even before you hit on the governors, the member of county assemblies and the Senate. When you're telling us things like, entries like those South Sudan and State
Peace
House and
process
things like
and
those,
State House
those
functions
should have been captured through the county assembly. They should not even have a heat Senate. And then when you also talk about senators being in Nairobi, living in Nairobi, then those are people who don't know their jobs. They are even supposed to be part of the decision-making, the budget decision-making process. That's the work of a senator. They need to question and interrogate that budget. The MCAs
within the
also,
county assembly.
Yes, the MCAs, that is their work. They are representing you. They are representing Wanjiko. So when some senator or some MP or some governor talks about Wanjiko, the person who should be talking about Wanjiko every day is a member of the county assembly. So the question we should be asking is, what should we find, or what kind of characteristics must we employ when we are looking for members of county assembly? And you may recall the former Chief Justice, Willie Mutunga. You may recall when he told lawyers, he said, if you want to make change in devolution, go for the post of MCAs. Many people didn't know what he was talking about. But there's something that he had seen. That is where you make a lot of change. Because if you are not induced monetarily, and you have a very core county assembly, you can do wonders. You cannot be bought by the governors. You can subject him to almost each and every accountable ruling. And I think that is where that's where the plot
these
thickens.
days.
But I think,
they line
be
up
that as
every
it may,
Friday. Every Friday,
For a token.
they line up at the governor's appointed place.
Just like MPs
Then-
do.
Yeah,
for our
Line up
weekend
somewhere.
remuneration.
they
All right,
get
hold
per
on.
diem
Hold on,
and airtime.
hold on. I think that discussion on the National Assembly and the Senate should be brought to a close. But before we do that, let's go to Kariokor, where Sharon Baranga is at the gate of where the private ceremony will be held, the cremation of the body of the late Bob Collymore. Sharon Baranga is there for us. Sharon, how has the journey been from Lee Funeral Home to where you are? We think...
CEO
Okay,
of
all right.
Safaricom
There she is.
just brought here at Kariokor. Only people whose name appears on the invited list are let inside. Right now you have to verify your name is on the list before you are allowed inside the premises. It all started from Lee Funeral Home, where his colleagues and family were there to pick the body funeral home, finally bring it here at Kariokor, where they're going to have his last respect. I understand that he's going to be cremated here at the fence. And the fence, right now, no one else is allowed inside, only the invited people, the family, and some of his colleagues, most of them top senior managers from Safaricom.
Thank you, Sharon Baranga. Those are live pictures from Kariokor in Nairobi, where the body of the late Bob Collymore will be interred this morning. And as you can see there, some of the members of the public have also arrived there, but as Sharon says, they won't be allowed in. And this being a private ceremony, that is the farthest that they can go. Gentlemen, we are about to wrap up.
I really wish that our governors or political class would learn from Bob Collymore. A man who presided over a multi-billion corporation, but who was not given to leges or grandeur. A man who has decided to humbly be interred, and cremated at Kariokor. When in fact, I watched some of his interviews, he had an option of going and paying maybe £4,500 to be interred in the UK. he thought that was not meaningful. There are lessons that can only be taught to us in moments of departure as this. And I hope that while we mourn this corporate titan, Edmond, we pick the invaluable lessons on the necessity of humility and the place of humility in humanness. Without learning that, we may talk all we care. Bob's death, Bob's final, rights is a massive lesson. Even his own life was a life worth learning from. But sadly, we do not. But that said, I hope, back to our topic as we finish, I just hope that the Senate can still fight for its place. If we do not have a referendum, they must just fight for their place. I don't want, and I wish that the National Assembly will not be entirely dismissive of what the Senate is trying to propose. They should sit down and agree that what is it? They should